The cargo ship New Horizon moved slowly through the dark space near the Centauri system. Its metal hull was scratched and dented from years of hauling goods between planets. Inside the ship, 23 crew members worked at their stations, checking systems and watching the stars outside their windows. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair, looking at the screen that showed their path through space. He was a man in his 50s with gray hair and tired eyes. Jake had been flying cargo ships for over 20 years. He knew every sound his ship made and every way it could break down. "Captain, we should reach Beta Centauri in about 6 hours," said First Officer Lisa Carter. She was a young woman with short brown hair who always kept her uniform neat and clean. Lisa had joined Jake's crew 3 years ago and had quickly become someone he trusted. "Good, the miners there need those medical supplies badly," Jake replied. He looked at the cargo manifest on his screen. The ship was carrying antibiotics, surgical equipment, and other medical goods worth millions of credits. The mining colony on Beta Centauri had been hit by a disease outbreak, and these supplies could save hundreds of lives. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Pete Collins checked the power systems. Pete was a large man with strong hands who could fix almost anything. He wiped sweat from his forehead as he worked. The engines were running well, but he always worried about breakdowns so far from any repair station. "How are we doing down there, Pete?" Jake asked over the communication system. "Everything looks good, Captain." "The new parts we installed last month are working fine," Pete answered. He had replaced several key components during their last stop at a space station. The New Horizon was an old ship, but Pete kept it running like new. Navigator Carl Jenkins sat at his station, watching the star charts on his screen. Carl was a quiet man who rarely spoke unless someone asked him a direct question. He had been navigating ships through space for 15 years and knew the safest routes between all the major systems. "Carl, any problems with our route?" Jake asked. "No, sir. We're clear of all known hazards. Should be smooth sailing from here," Carl replied without looking up from his charts. Dr. Karen Walsh was in the medical bay, checking their small supply of emergency medicine. She was the ship's doctor and took care of the crew when they got sick or injured. Karen was a kind woman who had left a comfortable job at a hospital to work on cargo ships. She liked helping people in remote places who had no other medical care. Communications Officer Tony Martinez monitored the radio channels, listening for any messages from other ships or space stations. Tony was young and energetic, always ready to help with any task. He kept the crew entertained with jokes and stories during long trips. "Captain, I'm picking up some chatter from other cargo ships in the area," Tony reported. "Sounds like everything is normal. No warnings or problems." Security Chief Rachel Moore checked the ship's weapon systems. The New Horizon had basic defensive weapons, but they were mainly for scaring off small pirates or dealing with space debris. Rachel was a former military officer who had joined the crew to see the galaxy. She kept the ship's small arsenal in perfect condition, even though they rarely needed to use it. "Weapons are ready, Captain." "Not that we'll need them out here," Rachel said. The area around Beta Centauri was usually peaceful. Most pirates stayed closer to the main trade routes where they could find more valuable targets. Trade specialist Amy Rodriguez was in her office, reviewing the contracts for their cargo delivery. Amy was smart and good with numbers. She handled all the business deals for the crew and made sure they got paid fairly for their work. She had joined the crew 6 months ago and had already helped them earn more money than they had made in years. "Amy, what's the payment schedule for this delivery?" Jake asked. "We get half the payment when we arrive, and the other half when we confirm the supplies are distributed to the colonists," Amy replied. "It's a good deal. These medical supplies are in high demand." The crew had been working together for several years. They trusted each other and worked well as a team. Jake treated them fairly and shared the profits from each job. Most of them had worked on other ships before joining the New Horizon, but they all agreed that Jake was the best captain they had ever served under. Suddenly, the ship's alarm system began to beep. Tony's face went pale as he looked at his instruments. "Captain, I'm detecting multiple ships approaching fast." They're coming from behind that asteroid field, Tony said, his voice shaking slightly. Jake immediately stood up and moved to the main display screen. How many ships, Tony? I count at least 8, maybe more. They're moving in formation and heading straight for us. Carl quickly checked his navigation charts. Captain, there shouldn't be any ships in this area. The nearest patrol route is 3 days away. Rachel activated the ship's defensive systems. Captain, those ships aren't broadcasting any identification signals. That's not normal for regular traffic. Jake felt his stomach tighten. In 20 years of flying cargo ships, he had been attacked by pirates only twice. Both times he had been lucky to escape with his ship and crew intact. Lisa, try to identify those ships. See if you can figure out who they are. Jake ordered. Lisa worked quickly at her station, using the ship's sensors to scan the approaching vessels. After a few minutes, she looked up with a worried expression. Captain, I've identified the ships. They're Vrex Confederacy vessels, pirates. The entire bridge went quiet. Everyone knew about the Vrex Confederacy. They were a group of alien pirates who attacked cargo ships and stole everything valuable. The Vrex were reptilian creatures who were bigger and stronger than humans. They had better weapons and faster ships. How far away are they? Jake asked. They'll reach us in about 10 minutes, Carl replied. Captain, we can't outrun them. Our ship is too slow when it's loaded with cargo. Jake thought quickly. The Vrex usually destroyed any ship that tried to fight them. They would kill the crew and take everything valuable. But maybe there was another way. Amy, I need you to prepare all the information about our cargo. Everything we have, Jake said. Captain, what are you planning? Lisa asked. I'm going to try something different. Instead of fighting or running, we're going to talk to them. Rachel looked shocked. Captain, the Vrex don't negotiate. They just take what they want. Maybe that's because no one has ever tried to make them a better offer, Jake replied. Amy, can you put together a presentation about our cargo? Include the market value, the demand, everything. Amy nodded and began working on her computer. She had dealt with many different types of buyers, but never with alien pirates. The unknown ships were getting closer. On the main screen, Jake could see them clearly now. They were dark, angular vessels that looked like they were built for war. The largest ship was 3 times the size of the New Horizon. Captain, they're hailing us, Tony reported. Jake took a deep breath. Put them on screen. The main display showed the bridge of the alien ship. A large reptilian creature with green scales and yellow eyes stared at them. This was Commander Zektar, leader of this group of Vrex pirates. Human vessel, you will surrender. Immediately. Prepare to be boarded, the alien said in a rough, threatening voice. Jake stood up straight and looked directly at the alien commander. Commander, I'm Captain Jake Morrison of the cargo vessel New Horizon. I'd like to request a meeting to discuss terms. The alien looked confused. Terms? You have no terms? You will surrender or be destroyed. I understand your position, Commander, but I believe we might be able to work out an arrangement that would be more profitable for both of us, Jake said calmly. The other Vrex pirates on the alien bridge started talking among themselves in their own language. They seemed surprised by Jake's response. Commander Zektar was quiet for a moment. Then he started laughing, a harsh sound that sent chills down Jake's spine. You amuse me, human. Very well. I will allow you and one other to come aboard my ship. But if you try any tricks, I will destroy your vessel and everyone on it. Understood, Commander. We'll be ready to transport over in 5 minutes, Jake replied. The screen went dark. Jake turned to his crew, who were all staring at him with worried expressions. Captain, are you sure about this? Lisa asked. It's our only chance. If we do nothing, they'll destroy us anyway. Amy, are you ready? Amy nodded, holding a portable computer with all the cargo information. I've got everything we need, Captain. Good, let's go make a deal. Jake Morrison and Amy Rodriguez stood in the transport chamber of the New Horizon, waiting to be beamed over to the alien pirate ship. Amy held her portable computer tightly, her hands shaking slightly. Jake could see the fear in her eyes, but he also saw determination. Remember, Amy, we're not here to beg. We're here to make a business deal, Jake said quietly. I understand, Captain. I've prepared everything we discussed, Amy replied, checking her computer one more time. The transport beam activated, and both humans felt the familiar tingling sensation. As they disappeared from their own ship, a moment later they appeared on the bridge of the Vrex vessel called Bloodfang. The alien ship was much different from the New Horizon. Everything was made of dark metal, and the walls were covered with weapons and trophies from previous raids. The air was thick and smelled like metal and something else that made Jake's nose wrinkle. Commander Zektar stood in the center of the bridge, surrounded by 12 other Vrex pirates. Each alien was over 7 feet tall with green scales covering their bodies. Their yellow eyes glowed in the dim light, and their mouths were filled with sharp teeth. They wore black armor and carried energy weapons. So, humans, you have come to surrender, Commander Zektar said, his voice deep and threatening. Not exactly, Commander, Jake replied. We've come to discuss business. The Vrex pirates started laughing. It was a harsh, scary sound that echoed through the bridge. Commander Zektar raised his hand, and the laughter stopped. Business? You are cargo haulers, we are warriors. There is no business between us except your surrender, the commander said. Amy stepped forward and activated her portable computer. A holographic display appeared in the air, showing detailed information about their cargo. Commander, with respect, I think you might be interested in what we have to offer, Amy said, trying to keep her voice steady. The Vrex pirates stared at the holographic display. They had never seen anything like this before. Most of their victims just begged for mercy or tried to fight. What is this? Asked Sub-Commander Vexka, a smaller Vrex with red markings on his scales. This is a complete manifest of our cargo, Amy explained. Medical supplies worth 2.3 million credits at current market prices. But that's not the interesting part. Amy touched her computer, and the display changed to show a complex chart with numbers and graphs. Commander, my analysis shows that you and your crew could make much more money by working with us instead of simply taking our cargo, Amy continued. Commander Zektar's eyes narrowed. Explain. Well, when you raid a ship like ours, you get whatever cargo we're carrying. But then you have to find someone to buy it, and you usually have to sell it quickly and cheaply because it's stolen goods. You probably only get about 30% of the real value. The Vrex pirates looked at each other uncertainly. This was true, but they had never thought about it this way before. Amy changed the display again, showing a comparison chart. But if you purchase our cargo at a fair price, you can then sell it to your own customers at full market value. You would make much more profit. Purchase? Commander Zektar spat. We are pirates, we take what we want. Of course, Commander, but consider this. A true warrior thinks strategically. Taking one cargo load gives you a small, one-time gain. But establishing a supply chain gives you ongoing profits that could make you the richest pirate leader in the galaxy. Jake watched the alien commander's face carefully. He could see that Amy's words were having an effect. The Vrex valued strength and power, but they also valued wealth. Continue, Commander Zektar said slowly. Amy smiled and activated another part of her presentation. We've been tracking pirate activities in this sector for months. Our analysis shows that most raiding groups are very inefficient. They waste time and fuel attacking random ships, and they often get cargo they can't easily sell. The holographic display showed a map of the local space area with various trade routes marked in different colors. But humans are natural traders. We know which goods are valuable in which systems. We know the best routes and the safest places to sell different types of cargo. We could provide you with this information. Sub-Commander Vexka leaned forward. You would help us raid other ships? Not exactly, Amy replied. We would help you identify the most profitable opportunities. Instead of attacking 10 random ships and getting mixed results, you could focus on the 3 or 4 ships carrying the most valuable cargo. Commander Zektar was quiet for a long moment. Around him, the other Vrex pirates whispered among themselves in their own language. And what would you want in return for this information? The commander asked. A partnership, Jake said, speaking for the first time since the presentation began. We provide you with cargo at wholesale prices and give you market intelligence. You provide us with protection and access to markets we can't reach on our own? Wholesale prices? Asked Navigator Gracula of Rex with several scars on his face. Amy nodded. Instead of paying full market price, you would pay about 60% of the retail value. That's still much more than you usually get from stolen goods, but it gives you a much higher profit margin when you resell. The display changed again, showing profit calculations. For example, our current cargo is worth 2.3 million credits. At wholesale prices, you would pay us 1.4 million credits. But you could easily sell it for 2.8 million credits in the right markets. That's a profit of 1.4 million credits, which is probably more than you make from 3 or 4 normal raids. Commander Zektar's eyes were fixed on the numbers. And you would provide this service regularly? Every month we could arrange for cargo shipments specifically designed for your needs, Amy explained. We would research what goods are in highest demand in your territory and arrange for regular deliveries. Jake stepped forward. Commander, think about it. Right now, you have to spend weeks searching for targets, risk battles with armed ships, and hope you find something valuable. With our system, you would have guaranteed profits on a regular schedule. But what about honor? Asked Weapons Master Thekver, a large Rex with ritual scars covering his arms. Where is the honor in buying and selling like merchants? Amy had been prepared for this question. With respect, Weapons Master, what brings more honor? Defeating weak opponents or building the strongest and richest pirate organization in the galaxy? She changed the display to show a comparison between different pirate groups. The most successful pirate leaders in history weren't just good fighters. They were good organizers. They built networks and systems that made them wealthy and powerful. Look, at Captain Bloodfang the Great, Amy continued, referring to a legendary Vrex pirate leader, he wasn't just feared because he was strong. He was feared because he controlled the most profitable trade routes in the Vortex sector. He became rich and powerful because he thought like a business leader, not just a warrior. Commander Zektar's expression changed. Captain Bloodfang was a hero to all Vrex pirates, and comparing their current situation to his legendary success was very appealing. You make interesting points, human, the commander said. But how do we know you won't betray us once we begin? This partnership? Jake smiled. Commander, betraying you would be bad for business. We want to make money, and we can't do that if we're dead or if you don't trust us. Amy added, plus we're proposing a trial period. Start with our current cargo. If you're not satisfied with the results, you can go back to your old methods. The Vrex pirates began talking among themselves again, this time more excitedly. Jake could see that they were beginning to understand the potential benefits of Amy's proposal. There's one more thing, Amy said. We've been monitoring communications from other pirate groups in the area. 3 other organizations are moving into your territory, and they're planning to challenge your control of this sector. Commander Zektar's eyes flashed with anger. Which groups? The Red Claw Syndicate, the Nebula Reapers, and a new group called the Star Hunters, Amy replied. They think you're weak because you haven't expanded your operations recently. How do you know this? Sub-Commander Vexka demanded. We intercept a lot of communications during our travels, Jake explained. It's how we stay safe. But this information could be very valuable to you, Amy nodded. With a steady supply chain and better market intelligence, you could expand your operations and show these other groups that you're stronger than ever. Commander Zektar stood up to his full height, which was nearly 8 feet. This is a very unusual proposal. No one has ever suggested such a thing to us before. That's because humans think differently than most species, Jake said. We believe that the best way to win is to make everyone involved more successful. Even your enemies? Asked Weapons Master Thekver. Especially our enemies, Amy replied. If we can turn enemies into partners, we don't have to fight them anymore. The bridge was quiet for several minutes as Commander Zektar considered everything. He had heard. Finally he spoke. Very well, humans. You have intrigued me. Let us examine your cargo more closely and discuss specific terms. Commander Zektar led Jake and Amy to a large table in the center of the bridge. The other Vrex pirates gathered around, their yellow eyes watching every movement the humans made. Amy placed her computer on the table and activated a larger holographic display. Show me exactly what you have in your cargo hold, Commander Zektar demanded. Amy touched her computer screen, and detailed images appeared in the air above the table. We have 500 units of advanced antibiotics, 200 surgical kits, 150 emergency medical scanners, and 300 units of synthetic blood plasma. Sub-Commander Vexka examined the images closely. These medical supplies, they are valuable? Very valuable, Amy confirmed. The antibiotics alone are worth 800,000 credits. The surgical kits are worth 600,000 credits each. Medical supplies are always in high demand because every colony and ship needs them. Jake watched the Vrex pirates' faces as they looked at the cargo manifest. He could see their interest growing as Amy explained the value of each item. But here's what makes this even better, Amy continued. Medical supplies have what we call universal demand. Every species in the galaxy needs medical care. Humans, Vrex, Centaurians, everyone, so you can sell these supplies to anyone. Commander Zektar nodded slowly. This is true. Our own medical supplies are often in short supply. Exactly, Amy said. Now, let me show you something that will really interest you. She changed the display to show a map of nearby star systems. Different systems were marked with different colors and symbols. This is our trade route analysis, Amy explained. The green systems have high demand for medical supplies and pay premium prices. The red systems have average demand. The blue systems have low demand but are good for selling other types of cargo. Navigator Gracchio studied the map carefully. How do you know all this? We've been trading in this sector for 5 years, Jake replied. We keep detailed records of prices, demand, and market conditions in every system we visit. Amy added, for example, the mining colony on Kepler 442b is experiencing a plague outbreak. They're paying 3 times the normal price for antibiotics. The agricultural world of New Eden has a shortage of surgical equipment. They're offering premium prices plus trade bonuses. Trade bonuses? Asked Sub-Commander Vexka. Extra payments for fast delivery, Amy explained. If you can get medical supplies to New Eden within 2 weeks, they'll pay an additional 200,000 credits on top of the base price. Commander Zektar's eyes lit up. And you know about all these opportunities? We know about hundreds of them. Jake said, it's how we stay in business. We go where the demand is highest and the prices are best. Amy activated another part of her presentation. But here's where it gets really interesting. Let me show you the concept of bulk purchasing. The display changed to show a comparison chart. Right now, if you buy our cargo at wholesale prices, you pay 1.4 million credits. But what if you ordered 10 times as much cargo? 10 times? Weapons Master Thekver looked confused. Instead of buying 1 shipment, you commit to buying 10 shipments over the next 6 months, Amy explained. Because you're buying in bulk, we can give you a better price. Instead of paying 60% of retail, you would only pay 50%. She showed the numbers on the display. For 10 shipments, you would pay 11.5 million credits instead of 14 million. That's a savings of 2.5 million credits. Commander Zektar leaned forward. And we would make more profit? Much more, Amy confirmed. With better prices and guaranteed supply, you could establish regular trade routes. Instead of random raids, you would have a steady business. Jake stepped forward. Commander, think about it from a strategic perspective. Right now, your enemies see you as just another pirate group. But if you control the medical supply trade, in this sector you become much more powerful. How so? Asked Sub-Commander Vexka. Everyone needs medical supplies, Jake explained. If you control the supply, you control who lives and who dies. Colonies that need medicine will have to deal. With you, other pirate groups will have to buy from you. You become the most important power in the region. Amy nodded. It's called market dominance. Instead of competing with other pirates for random cargo, you become the supplier that everyone depends on. Commander Zektar was quiet for a moment, thinking about what he had heard. This is very different from how we usually operate. That's exactly why it will work, Amy said. Your competitors are still thinking like old-fashioned pirates. They raid random ships and hope to find something valuable. You would be thinking like a business empire. She changed the display to show a timeline. In 6 months, with regular shipments and established trade routes, you could be earning twice as much as you do now. In 1 year, you could be the richest pirate organization in 3 sectors. But what about our reputation? Asked Weapons Master Thekfer. Other Vrex will say we have become soft, like merchants. Amy had expected this objection. Weapons Master, let me ask you something. Who was the greatest Vrex leader in history? Emperor Krathel the Conqueror, Thekfer replied immediately. And why was he great? Amy continued. Because he conquered 12 star systems and ruled them for 50 years. Exactly, Amy said. He didn't just raid and steal, he built an empire. He controlled territory, trade, and resources. He was feared not just because he was strong, but because he was smart. The display changed to show historical data about Emperor Krathel. According to historical records, Emperor Krathel made most of his wealth through trade and taxation, not through raiding. He understood that controlling commerce was more profitable than simple theft. Commander Zektar's eyes widened. You have studied our history? We study the history of everyone we do business with, Jake replied. It helps us understand what motivates different species. Amy continued, Emperor Krathel was remembered as a conqueror, but he was also a brilliant businessman. He established trade routes, controlled markets, and built lasting wealth. That's why his empire lasted for 50 years instead of falling apart after his death. You're suggesting we follow his example? Commander Zektar asked. I'm suggesting you improve on his example, Amy replied. He had to conquer systems to control them. You can control trade without the expense and risk of military conquest. Sub-Commander Vexka looked interested. How would this work in practice? Activated a new display showing a detailed business plan. Phase 1. Establish regular trade routes with guaranteed cargo deliveries. Phase 2. Expand to other types of valuable goods. Phase 3. Become the primary supplier for entire sectors. What kinds of other goods? Asked Navigator Gracule. Rare metals, advanced technology, luxury items, weapons, Amy listed. Anything that has high value and steady demand. Jake added, we have contacts throughout human space and beyond. We can arrange for almost any type of cargo you want. And the more you order, the better prices you get, Amy continued. Eventually, you could be buying at 40% of retail price or even less. Commander Zektar studied the business plan carefully. This would require a significant change in how we operate. All great leaders have to adapt to changing circumstances. Amy said, the galaxy is becoming more connected, more organized. Pirates who don't adapt will be left behind. She showed a new chart. Look at pirate activity over the past 10 years. Random raiding is becoming less profitable because merchant ships have better defenses and patrol fleets are more common. But organized crime and controlled trade are more profitable than ever. Controlled trade? Weapons Master Thekfer asked. Legal businesses that happen to be run by former pirates, Jake explained. On the surface, everything looks legitimate. But underneath, you still control the territory and the profits. Amy nodded. Many successful pirate leaders have made this transition. They keep their military strength but add business skills. They become more powerful and much wealthier. Commander Zektar stood up and walked to the bridge's main window. Looking out at the stars. You are asking us to become something we have never been before. No, Commander, Amy said gently. I'm asking you to become what you've always had the potential to be. Vrex are naturally intelligent, organized, and ambitious. You just need to apply those qualities in a new way. Jake joined the commander at the window. Think about your crew, Commander. Right now, they risk their lives every time you raid a ship. Sometimes they get wounded or killed. Sometimes you find valuable cargo, sometimes you don't. It's dangerous and unpredictable. But with our system, they would have steady income, safer working conditions, and the chance to build something lasting, Amy added. They could have families, homes, real security. Commander Zektar turned back to face them. You make it sound appealing, but there are risks in your plan too. Of course there are risks, Amy admitted, but they're calculated risks with much better odds of success. She showed a risk analysis on the display. Traditional piracy has about a 30% chance of long-term success. Most pirate groups are destroyed or disbanded within 5 years. But organized trade operations have an 85% success rate. These numbers, they are accurate? Sub-Commander Vexka asked. Based on historical data from the past 50 years, Amy confirmed. We can show you our sources if you want to verify them. Commander Zektar looked around at his crew. He could see that they were interested in Amy's proposal, but also uncertain about such a big change. Commander Zektar gestured for everyone to sit around the large table. Amy activated her computer again, this time showing a detailed contract template on the holographic display. Before we begin discussing terms, Commander, I need to share some urgent information with you, Amy said. Her voice becoming more serious. She touched her computer screen, and the display changed to show intercepted communications data. Our ship picked up these transmissions 3 hours ago. 3 rival pirate groups are planning to move into your territory. Commander Zektar's eyes narrowed dangerously. Show me. Amy played an audio recording. Voices speaking in different alien languages could be heard discussing attack plans and territory divisions. The universal translator converted their words into text that appeared on the display. The Red Claw Syndicate is planning to attack your base on Asteroid Station 7 next week, Amy explained. The Nebula Reapers are moving ships into the Gamma sector, and the Star Hunters are trying to make deals with some of your smaller ships to switch sides. Sub-Commander Vexka slammed his fist on the table. Those cowards dare to challenge us? It gets worse, Amy continued. They're working together. They plan to split your territory between the 3 groups. Commander Zektar stood up, his scales darkening with anger. How did you obtain this information? Our communications officer Tony monitors all frequencies during our travels, Jake explained. It's standard procedure for merchant ships. We need to know about any threats in the area, Amy nodded. We've been collecting intelligence about pirate movements for months. It's how we stay safe. But this information could be very valuable to you. She changed the display to show a tactical analysis. The Red Claw Syndicate has 15 ships, but they're older models with weaker weapons. The Nebula Reapers have 12 ships, but they're low on fuel and supplies. The Star Hunters are new, but they only have 8 ships and inexperienced crews. You know their weaknesses? Asked Weapons Master Thekver. We know everything about them, Amy replied. Ship types, crew sizes, supply levels, patrol routes. Our business depends on understanding who controls what territory. Commander Zektar looked impressed. This intelligence, it is accurate? Completely accurate, Jake confirmed. We verify all our information through multiple sources. Amy activated another part of her presentation. Commander, this is exactly why our partnership would be so valuable. Right now you're facing a coordinated attack from 3 different groups. But with our intelligence network, you could have known about this weeks ago. How would that help? Asked Navigator Gracule. Early warning gives you time to prepare, Amy explained. You could have moved your ships into better positions, secured your bases, maybe even prevented the alliance between these groups. She showed a strategic map on the display. But it's not too late. With the right information, you can turn this situation to your advantage. Commander Zektar leaned forward. Explain, the Star Hunters are the weak link, Amy said. They're new and inexperienced. If you offered them a better deal than their current allies, they might switch sides. Jake added, and the Nebula Reapers are having supply problems. If you controlled the medical supply trade, you could offer them the medicine they need in exchange for backing down. Amy nodded. Instead of fighting 3 groups, you could reduce it to fighting just one, maybe none at all if you play it right. Sub-Commander Vexka looked excited. This kind of strategic thinking, you could provide it regularly? Every week, Amy confirmed. We monitor communications, track ship movements, analyze market conditions. We would share all of this information with you. Commander Zektar sat back down, his anger replaced by calculating interest. And in return? A fair partnership, Jake replied. We provide cargo, intelligence, and market analysis. You provide protection and access to restricted markets. Activated a new display showing the proposed contract terms. Here's what we're suggesting for our initial agreement. First, you purchase our current cargo for 1.4 million credits, which is 60% of retail value, Amy began. Second, we provide you with detailed intelligence about the 3 groups threatening your territory. Third, we arrange for monthly cargo deliveries at the same discount rate. What guarantees do we have? Asked Sub-Commander Vexka. Both sides put up security deposits, Amy explained. We deposit 500,000 credits into a neutral account. You do the same. If either side breaks the agreement, the other side keeps both deposits. Commander Zektar nodded approvingly. This shows good faith from both parties. Also, we propose a trial period of 6 months, Jake added. If either side is not satisfied with the arrangement, we can end the partnership with 30 days' notice. Amy changed the display to show profit projections. Based on current market conditions, here's what you could expect to earn. Your current cargo, sold in the right markets, should generate about 2.8 million credits in revenue, Amy explained. After paying us 1.4 million, your profit would be 1.4 million credits. Weapons Master Thekver looked skeptical. That seems too good to be true. It's not just possible, it's conservative, Amy replied. Medical supplies are in extremely high demand right now. The plague outbreak on Kepler 442b has created a supply shortage throughout this sector. She showed supporting data on the display. Medical supply prices have increased by 40% in the past 3 months. If you move quickly, you could get even better prices than our projections show. Commander Zektar studied the numbers carefully, and the monthly deliveries. Each monthly shipment would be worth approximately 2.5 million credits at retail, Amy said. You would pay us 1.5 million and could expect to earn about 3 million in revenue. That's 1.5 million credits profit per month. Per month? Sub-Commander Vexka looked amazed. Per month, Amy confirmed. And as we expand the operation, the profits would grow larger. Jake leaned forward. Commander, think about what this means. In 1 year, you could earn more than most pirate groups make in 10 years, and it would be steady, predictable income. Amy activated another display. But there's an even bigger opportunity here. Once you establish yourself as the primary medical supplier in this sector, you can expand into other markets. What other markets? Asked Navigator Gracule. Rare metals, advanced technology, luxury goods, weapons, Amy listed. Any high-value cargo with steady demand. She showed a long-term business plan. In 2 years, you could be running the largest trading operation in 5 sectors. In 5 years, you could rival the biggest commercial corporations in the galaxy. Commander. Zektar's eyes gleamed with ambition. And all of this would be under Vrex control? Completely under your control, Jake confirmed. We would be your suppliers and advisors, but you would own the business and make all the major decisions, Amy nodded. Think of us as your business consultants. We provide expertise and resources, but you remain in charge. Sub-Commander Vexka had a question. What about other human traders? Won't they try to compete with us? That's the beauty of exclusive partnership agreements, Amy explained. We would only work with you in this sector. Any other human traders would have to get your permission to operate here, and if they don't get our permission, asked Weapons Master Thekver. Then they're operating illegally in your territory, Jake replied. You would have every right to stop them. Amy showed a territorial map on the display. Eventually, you could claim exclusive trading rights to entire sectors. Any ship carrying valuable cargo through your space would have to pay you a fee or buy from you directly. Commander Zektar stood up and walked around the table, thinking about everything he had heard. The other Vrex pirates watched him carefully, waiting for his decision. This partnership, the commander said slowly, it would make us very wealthy. Extremely wealthy, Amy confirmed. And very powerful, Jake added. But it would also make us dependent on you humans, Commander Zektar continued. Amy shook her head. Not dependent, Commander, interdependent. We need you as much as you need. US, we can't operate in pirate-controlled territory without protection. You can't access human trade networks without our connections. It's a relationship of mutual benefit, Jake explained. Both sides profit, both sides have something to lose if the partnership fails. Commander Zektar stopped walking and looked directly at Amy. What happens if we say no to your proposal? Amy met his gaze steadily. Then you deal with the Red Claw Syndicate, the Nebula Reapers, and the Star Hunters on your own. You continue operating the same way you always have, with the same risks and limitations. And we keep looking for other partners, Jake added. Eventually we'll find someone who sees the value in what we're offering. Maybe one of the groups attacking your territory, Amy said quietly. Commander Zektar's eyes flashed dangerously. You would work with our enemies? We would work with whoever offers us the best protection and the fairest terms, Jake replied honestly. We're business people, Commander. We go where the opportunity is best, Amy softened her tone. But we'd, much rather work with you. You're clearly the strongest and smartest leader in this sector. Your crews respect you, your territory is well organized, and you understand strategic thinking. Plus, you're the only one who had the wisdom to listen to our proposal instead of just attacking us, Jake added. Commander Zektar smiled, showing his sharp teeth. Flattery. Jake and Amy sat quietly at the large table while the Vrex pirates argued in hushed voices across the bridge. Commander Zektar stood in the center of his officers, listening to each one speak. Some looked excited, others seemed worried. The discussion was intense, with lots of arm waving and pointing at the humans. Amy checked her computer nervously. I hope we've given them enough information to make the right choice. We've done everything we can, Jake replied quietly. Now it's up to them. After 45 minutes, Commander Zektar walked back to the table. His expression was serious, and Jake couldn't tell what he had decided. Humans, we have discussed your proposal carefully, the commander began. My officers have many opinions. Sub-Commander Vexka stepped forward. Some of us believe this partnership could make us the most powerful organization in the sector. Others worry that we are abandoning our traditions, added Weapons Master Thekver. Vrex have been warriors for thousands of years, Navigator Grakul nodded. But we also remember that the greatest Vrex leaders were those who adapted to changing times. Commander Zektar raised his hand for silence. After much discussion, we have reached a decision. Jake held his breath. Amy gripped her computer tightly. We will accept your proposal, Commander Zektar announced. Amy let out a sigh of relief. Jake smiled for the first time since they had boarded the alien ship. However, we have some additional terms, the commander continued. What terms? Jake asked. First, we want exclusive rights to all human trade in this sector, Sub-Commander Vexka explained. No other human ships can operate here without our permission, Amy thought quickly. That's reasonable, but we'll need to phase it in gradually. We can't cut off existing trade relationships overnight without damaging our reputation. How long? Commander Zektar asked. 6 months, Amy replied. We'll redirect our existing clients to other routes or help them establish relationships with your organization. The commander nodded. Acceptable. Second, we want you to provide intelligence about all pirate activities in neighboring sectors, Weapons Master Thekver said. Not just groups that threaten us directly. Jake considered this. We can do that. Broader intelligence actually helps us too, since we travel through those sectors. Third, we want the right to inspect your cargo before each delivery, Navigator, Grakul added. To ensure you're not bringing us inferior goods. Of course, Amy agreed. We want you to be completely satisfied with every shipment. Commander Zektar smiled, showing his sharp teeth. Then we have an agreement. Let us sign the contract. Amy activated her computer and displayed the final contract terms. Both sides reviewed the details carefully, making small adjustments too. The language. There's one more thing, Jake said. We need to transfer the payment for our current cargo. 1.4 million credits. Sub-Commander Vexka operated a device on his belt, and Jake's computer chimed to indicate that the payment had been received. Verified, Jake confirmed. The cargo is officially yours. Amy added the final signatures to the digital contract. This partnership is now official. Congratulations, Commander. You've just made the smartest business decision in Vrex history. Commander Zektar stood up and extended his clawed hand. Jake shook it carefully, trying not to wince at the alien's powerful grip. Captain Morrison, I believe this is the beginning of a very profitable relationship, the commander said. I hope so, Commander, for both our peoples. Amy began packing up her computer. I'll send you detailed market analysis within 24 hours. This will include the best locations to sell your new cargo and intelligence about upcoming opportunities. And the information about our enemies? Asked Weapons Master Thekver. I'm transmitting that to you right now, Amy replied. Complete. Details about the Red Claw Syndicate's attack plans, Nebula Reaper positions, and Star Hunter recruitment efforts. Commander Zektar studied the new intelligence data on his own computer. This information is very detailed. With this, we can defeat all three groups easily. Or, better yet, you can convince some of them to join your new business model, Jake suggested. More partners mean more profits. Sub-Commander Vexka looked intrigued. You think they would be interested? The Star Hunters definitely would, Amy replied. They're new and struggling. A partnership with you would give them stability and steady income. And the Nebula Reapers need medical supplies for their crews, Jake added. You could offer them a deal, medical supplies in exchange for joining your organization. Commander Zektar nodded thoughtfully. We will consider these options. A communication alarm sounded on the Vrex bridge. The communications officer spoke rapidly in the Vrex language. What is it? Commander Zektar demanded. Captain, the Red Claw Syndicate ships have been detected moving toward Asteroid Station 7, the officer reported. They're 3 days ahead of schedule. Jake and Amy looked at each other with concern. This is perfect, Amy said suddenly. Commander, this gives you a chance to test our intelligence system immediately. How so? Asked Sub-Commander Vexka. You? No, they're coming, but they don't know, you know, Jake explained. You can set a trap for them. Amy activated her computer again. Even better, you can use this situation to demonstrate your new business approach. I don't understand, Commander Zektar said. Instead of just destroying the Red Claw ships, you offer them a choice, Amy explained. Join your new trading organization. Or face destruction, Jake nodded. Show them the profits they could make as partners instead of enemies. Some of them might be smart enough to switch sides. And the ones who refuse? Asked Weapons Master Thekver. Then you destroy them as planned, Amy replied. But you give them the opportunity to choose cooperation over conflict. Commander Zektar considered this idea. It would certainly surprise them. Surprise is a powerful weapon, Jake agreed. And it would send a message to other groups that you're offering a new way of doing business. Sub-Commander Vexka looked excited. If even some of the Red Claw ships join us, we would be much stronger. And you would have more crews to handle expanded trading operations, Amy added. Commander Zektar made his decision. We will try this approach. If it fails, we can always resort to traditional methods. It won't fail, Jake said confidently. Pirates are practical people. When you show them real numbers and real profits, most of them will see the benefits. Amy began transmitting additional data to the Vrex computers. I'm sending you a complete negotiation strategy for dealing with the Red Claw Syndicate. This includes their financial situation, crew morale issues, and what incentives would most likely convince them to join you. You prepared all this in advance? Navigator Gracule asked, impressed. We prepare for every possibility, Jake replied. It's what makes us good partners. Commander Zektar stood up. Captain Morrison, Trade Specialist Rodriguez, it has been a pleasure doing business with you. The pleasure is ours, Commander, Amy replied. We look forward to a long and profitable partnership. When will you return with our next shipment? Sub-Commander Vexka asked. 3 weeks, Jake answered. That will give you time to sell this cargo and evaluate the results of our agreement. And we'll have even better intelligence by then, Amy added, including detailed analysis of market conditions throughout 5 sectors. As Jake and Amy prepared to transport back to their ship, Commander Zektar spoke one final time. Humans, you have shown us a new way to think about power and wealth. If this partnership succeeds as you predict, the Vrex Confederacy will remember your names with honor. Commander, if this partnership succeeds, the galaxy will be a more prosperous place for everyone, Jake replied. The transport beam activated, and Jake and Amy disappeared from the Vrex bridge. Back on the New Horizon, the crew gathered eagerly around their captain and trade specialist. Captain, what happened? Asked First Officer Lisa Carter. Are we going to live through this? Jake smiled broadly. Better than that, Lisa. We just signed the biggest trade deal in the ship's history. We're partners with the Vrex Confederacy now, Amy announced. Exclusive trading partners. Chief Engineer Pete Collins looked shocked. You mean they're not going to attack us? They're going to protect us, Jake replied. And we're going to make them very wealthy. Dr. Karen Walsh shook her head in amazement. I can't believe you actually negotiated with pirates. Ex-Befferets, Amy corrected. They're business partners now. Communications Officer Tony Martinez was monitoring the Vrex. Communications. Captain, I'm picking up transmissions from the Vrex fleet. They're moving to intercept the Red Claw Syndicate ships. Good, Jake said. Let's see how well our new business model works in practice. Security Chief Rachel Moore checked her weapon systems out of habit, then turned them off. I guess we won't be needing these anymore. Navigator Carl Jenkins was already plotting a course to their next destination. Captain, where are we headed? To pick up our next cargo shipment, Jake replied. We have a delivery schedule to maintain. Amy was busy updating her computer files. I need to prepare market analysis reports and intelligence briefings for our new partners. Over the next few hours, the crew of the New Horizon watched as their Vrex partners implemented the new business strategy. Instead of attacking the Red Claw Syndicate ships, Commander Zektar contacted them with a surprising offer.